Hello.
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 Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hello. Hello.
You.
Hello.
Welcome back. Gosh,
Welcome.
it went so quickly. Too quickly. I like holidays. And anyway, I hope you had very nice, very good time and you enjoyed your, wait, I'm trying to cancel everything. You enjoyed your holidays and the fireworks and everything. I hate fireworks because my dog is very worried. She's not scared, she's worried. And, and so, but my next door neighbor's dog is really, really scared. And so what we do, we put the music on, which is, I live in the center near the station. And you can hear my music and my neighbor's music probably, miles away. But anyway, we managed to survive New Year's Eve. And now we're back again. Gosh, the only thing I managed to do, I had sort of semi-relaxing holidays. The only thing I managed to do, I have prepared the assessment test for you. Again, my old students know that the assessment test is more for you than for me. Even if you get every single answer wrong, don't worry. It's difficult, it's a C1 level. Some of the exercises, what I do, I get them from, and all books are more difficult. That's a fact. And it's the reason why I sort of try to make it semi-difficult is also because I want to know the things you know and the things you don't. So do the test, check it out because it's self-correction test, and any doubts, anything you might realize that, oh, maybe I'm not really sure why this is wrong, either you write to me or during the lesson you tell me, and so I can prepare new lessons and explain everything to you. So this is what the assessment, or you are supposed to do it February. I think in February we're having a week holiday. We are, aren't we? Yeah, because the Unipop now is divided in 2 semesters. And there is 1 week holiday in February. I'll tell you. I never read. I'll say febbraio. Must be somewhere on the site. But I had the feeling it's the last week of January. The last week of January. Yes, very good. Thank you, Sabina. The last week of January is holiday. In that week, at the beginning of the week, I'll send you the test. You go 1 week to do it, 1 week to write to me, and whatever you want me to do, you just write to me and I'll do it. Another thing, remember that if you want to speak, because of course it's me, it's always me, it's always me doing everything and talking and etc. If you want to have a little speech or something, please do prepare. I would say a 5-minute speech is already extremely long. Remember that 1 minute is an eternity. 5 minutes, it's something. But anyway, if you want to tell me a story, if you want, if you have an anecdote, if you have something to explain to the class, you book your 5 minutes. So you write to me and say, I've got something ready. I want to speak. Okay. And you write to me before the lesson, and so I know, and I give you your 5-10 minutes, whatever. And then,
Ci sentiamo domani, adesso vado a fare cena.
who are you? Someone has forgotten the audio. Bon appetit. And so anyway, this is the idea. So if you want to speak and have your 5 minutes, please do. Other things, I know that we're going to have the second semester. We might have. Is it possible to end it? Because I will not be from. Oh yes, you don't need to send it to me, Federica, because I'll send you the test with the key. So you do the test and you correct it yourself. Whenever you like. If you want to do it in February, you do it in February. If you want to do it in March or April, do it in March or April. It doesn't make any difference to me. Any questions? When you have questions, you write to me. Okay. So don't send the test to me to correct. Otherwise, can you imagine? I get something like 80 tests to correct. I'm gonna go crazy. Okay, so this evening, I have prepared the test. I have nearly finished preparing 2 or 3 videos, new videos. One is about metaphors, the other one is about whether you are a hedgehog or a fox, and another one is about being lucky. Why not? We need it. And so these are the videos I'm going to do. And this evening we could start off with our language number 6, and then do a little bit of the news. And if you have time, maybe even start doing one sentence, one translation, and see what happens. Okay. Okay. Yes, and so Federica, I hope is clear. I'm going to open everything and then I'm sharing. Okay, 1 and 2. So I can see the questions. Right. Okay, just I'm making it bigger. Tell me if you can see it. Okay, good. So this is the invention that broke spelling, ruined the spelling basically. So the first thing we got to do is listen to the recording, and then what you find here at the end of this, you see, is not the script as we usually have, but it's a summary. So I've changed the way the whole thing has been phrased, but you have to listen, understand. First we listen, then we listen the second time, and you have to basically finish the sentences with the correct words. Okay, so first of all, let's just listen to it. Okay, I turn it up a smidgen.
6. The invention that broke spelling.
Can you hear it, or do you want it louder? Okay, good.
Six, the invention that broke spelling. In the 1470s, while the Great Vowel Shift was changing how people spoke William Caxton introduced the printing press to England. One effect of printing was to freeze English spelling at a time of transition, creating inconsistencies that became permanent. With no standard spelling, Caxton made practical choices that were then widely adopted, fixing spellings that reflected an older pronunciation. The spelling system was further complicated by bringing over scribes from France or typesetters from the Netherlands and Belgium, where the first presses in Britain came from. They tended to adopt the standards they were used to. The French scribes, with their Latin influence, didn't see why we would write Queen Qwen when obviously what they heard should be spelt something like Quen. The Dutch typesetters felt that ghost was missing something, so they slipped in an H to make GHOST, ghost. Standardization was well underway by around 1650, but it was a slow and halting process, and names in particular were often rendered in a variety of ways. For example, more than 80 different spellings of Shakespeare's name have been recorded, and he himself spelt it differently in each of his 6 known signatures, including 2 different versions in his own will.
Okay, so you see that what I've done basically is I used synonyms. Okay, for example, here were often rendered, documented. They're all synonyms, but the idea of the script is here. So now I'm going to repeat it, and so you can tell me what to put in the missing sentences.
Six, the invention that broke spelling. In the 1470s, while the Great Vowel Shift was changing how people spoke, William Caxton introduced the printing press to England.
So bringing, introduced what? Yes, very good. So, yes. Someone has got the volume on. Okay, so this is good exercise. Remember that, for example, if you take these C2 exams, the Cambridge exams, C2 and B2, they always have this sort of test. You listen to a recording, and then you have sentences using synonym, and you have just to add the correct words in. So the printing press to England. Very good. So the next bit is
press to England. One effect of printing was to freeze English spelling at a time of transition, creating inconsistencies that became permanent.
So printing locked English spelling in place while pronunciation kept changing, leaving. Very good. Yes. Permanent inconsistencies. Very good. Inconsistencies. Yes. That became permanent or permanent inconsistencies. Anything you write here is correct as long as you give the correct idea.
Permanent. With no standard spelling, Caxton made practical choices that were then widely adopted, fixing spellings that reflected an older pronunciation.
So preserving spellings that reflected, very good. Yes, very good, an older pronunciation.
Pronunciation. The spelling system was further complicated by bringing over scribes from France or typesetters from the Netherlands and Belgium, where the first presses in Britain came from. They tended to adopt the standards they were used to.
So instead of adopt, they followed what? Listen to it. Very good. Standards. You see, the sentence is more or less because it says the spelling system became even more complex because scribes from France and typesetters from the Netherlands and Belgium followed something. And the original text that says the spelling system was further complicated by bringing over scribes from France, typesetters from the Netherlands and Belgium, where the first presses in Britain came from. The scribes from France and the typesetters, they tended to adopt, so they tended to follow the standards they were used to. So the standards they were used to. Okay, you see, to be used to something means when you are into the habit of doing something, okay? Or the standard they you wouldn't, you need the verb to be because there were standards these people were used to doing, to following, okay? Not, I know that they used, or you can say they used to follow certain standards in those days. So everybody wrote as they pronounced the word. Yeah, but this is more or less what happened. Again, remember that these were all foreigners, France and the Netherlands and Belgium. So they were all foreigners, and they heard things and sounds. And then don't forget. That they heard certain sounds which in one language you can reproduce using certain letters in the alphabet, and do you know, for example, bistecca? Bistecca comes from beef steak, bistecca. Sometimes a language also absorbs the words from another language and sort of makes this word, changes this word slightly to adapt them to the language. So these people were foreigners, they were French, they were from the Netherlands, from Belgium, and so what they heard, they wrote, and that's the reason the French scribes replaced quen with queen, because that's what they heard. They heard queen, and they wrote it like this because it made more sense to them. Okay. So you can listen to it again.
From France or typesetters from the Netherlands and Belgium, where the first presses in Britain came from. They tended to adopt the standards they were used to. The French scribes, with their Latin influence, didn't see why we would write Queen Cwen when obviously what they heard should be spelt something like Quen. The Dutch typesetters felt that Ghost was missing something, so they slipped in an H.
Yeah, you see, that's because it looked wrong to them. And so you get an H, which you do not pronounce because the pronunciation stayed the same, but the way it was written changed. And of course, in those days, remember, they didn't have a telephone, they didn't have any means of communication. And so if someone decided to start writing something, then other people then tended to copy it when they saw it written. But again, the pronunciation got fixed while the spelling was changed. So it's very confusing.
They slipped in an H to make Ghost, Ghost. Standardization was well underway by around 1650, but it was a slow and halting process, and names in particular were often rendered in a variety of ways.
So, well, very good. In a variety of ways, so in different ways, okay. And then I'll read you the notes.
Were often rendered in a variety of ways. For example, more than 80 different spellings of Shakespeare's name.
How many? Yeah. 80. Apparently, this is true.
More than 80 different spellings of Shakespeare's name have been recorded, and he himself spelt it differently in each of his 6 known signatures, including 2 different versions in his own will.
Including what? I just repeat it, so very good. Including.
Spelt it differently in each of his 6 known signatures, including 2 different versions in his own will.
Very good. 2 different versions in his own will. So, 2 different versions in his own will. Yeah, definitely. What's a will? Very good. It's a legal document in which a person states what he wants to do after his death. If he wants to leave all his possessions and etc. Exactly, it's un testamento. Of course, a will is also a strong desire. If you do something of your own free will, means you decide, you know, you have the ability to choose. Is also a modal verb to give you the idea of the pure future. Remember that will is the real future. Very good. Where there is a will, there is a way. I'll write it down for you. So where there's a will, oops, there's a way. This is, I don't know whether it is a proverb or a saying. If you really want to do something, you can find a way to do it. So if you really want to do something, you find the way to do it. You see, and this is the meaning. Okay. You can say also, if you do something at will, when you want, and also again for the future. Will use for. Remember that you use will when you look at the future. Remember that the future in English is extremely difficult because there are so many ways to render it. But for example, if you say I'm seeing Bob tomorrow, I'm going to have a plate of pasta. You see that if you do this, if you say I'm seeing Bob tomorrow and I'm going to have a plate of pasta later, you have a link to the past. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. It's something which you have already thought about. You have already either decided or planned. So there is a very strong link to the past. Past, you know, I just look at you and now I decide I'll have a plate of pasta. No link with the past. That's the reason why I'm saying that will is the real future, is the pure future, because it has no links to the past. And this idea of linking and perceiving the way you use the future with a link to the past or without any link to the past, remember, is good because it helps you to choose when to use will. For example, you go to the restaurant. On the way to the restaurant, you start thinking, oh, well, you know, I feel like a plate of pasta. So by the time you get to the restaurant, when the waiter asks you, you can say, oh, I'm going to have a plate of pasta, or I'm having a plate of pasta, because you have already thought about it. But you sit down, you read the menu, and you look up and say, I'll have a plate of pasta, because you're deciding there and then. If the waiter asks you, for example, says, what are you going to have? The implication in the question is, have you decided what to have, honey? I hope this is clear. Is it clear? Good. So we can revise the future if you want. One day we can revise it. It's difficult, but it's not impossible. But if you take it this way, so this one and this one have links to the past. This one is only the future. Okay. And then will can be also this legal document. Okay, and then we can for render. Okay, this word render. Well, I think it's in the questions. Let's go and have a look at the questions. So, and then we do. Yes, I think it's in the question. If I can find it. Yeah. Okay, true, false. Now, you should more or less know it by heart. So, true, false. Caxton introduced the printing press to England in the 16th century. Is it true or false? It is false. Because blah, 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 coinciding with William Caxton. So it was 1470s, so definitely not in the 16th century. Caxton's spelling choices were based on standardized linguistic rules. Again, definitely false. Because if we go down and have a look, printing locked English spelling in place while pronunciation kept changing, leading inconsistency. So there was, in absence of standard spelling, remember that we will see in, I think in number 8, for example, in France, you had the Académie Française. In Italy, I think there is the Accademia della Crusca. There is something. In English, there is absolutely nothing. There is, yes, the Académie Française. It's the one more or less keeping an eye on the language. While in English, there is nothing. And so there is no body. Well, Cambridge is not doing anything. Cambridge is Cambridge. In Cambridge, you find the university. Oxford, you find another university. But there is no body or people getting together, keeping an eye on the language. That's what the Académie Française does. So let's go back up. True, false again. Foreign typesetters contributed to inconsistency in the English spelling. Is it true or false? It is true. And the French scribes preferred spelling that reflected Latin influence. Is it true or false? Yeah. Oh yes, the French are the French. And they, of course, remember that the French and Latin, of course, French and Latin are linked as languages. And so they preferred the spelling. It was easier for them. Again, all the way you spell words which come from Latin, and again, I told you before, remember that difficult words, extremely educated, very, very well educated words in English are always the ones which come from Latin via French. Okay, and so they are also more difficult to for British people, for American people, they're more difficult sometimes to spell than words which for Italians, French, and Spanish are considered difficult word to spell. So head is easier to spell for someone whose mother tongue is English, while maybe inconsistencies can be something more difficult. While for the Italians, inconsistencies is very easy. Maybe head, we can think, one thinks twice. And let's see, the word ghost gained an age because of Dutch influence. Is it true or false? Yes, it is true. Okay. And then we had number 6, Shakespeare used only one consistent spelling of his name throughout his life. No, definitely. And by 1650, spelling in English was fully standardized and uniform. Let's go and see. It's not standardized now. So around 1650, spelling was becoming standardized, though names were often rendered in a variety of ways. So not fully. So it is false. It was trying to do something, but not fully. Okay. And now let's have a look at some vocabulary. The phrase, you heard it, it was in the original text. One effect of printing was to freeze English spelling at a time of transition. Okay. The phrase to freeze English spelling means to make spelling permanently fixed, to make spelling becoming archaic, or to simplify. Yes, very good. Remember, freeze, you can use it. Okay, you put something in the freezer and you're freezing some chicken, for example. But if you decide to rob a bank, you get yourself a pistol, you walk into a bank, and you take out your pistol and you shout, freeze. Freeze means don't move, don't do anything, put your hands up and stay where you are. Okay, that's freeze. And then let's see. Inconsistencies are predictable changes, assertions that are not true or factual, irregularities or contradiction, similarities, yes. And now we have our word render. The word render, as used in the text, means misspelled, shown or written, hidden or misinterpreted. Yes. Render it has more than one meaning. For example, it's very formal. It can be an extremely formal verb. So, formal. You can render something, something plus, let's say, adjective. Okay, so for example, you can render something harmless. You can, or for example, let me see if I have, you can be rendered, homeless, for example. Yes, you render for images. For example, it's again some rendering a performance or an expression of something, or even a translation, or something when you are 3D exactly, or also to render equal to translate. The rendition or rendering. You talk about the result of a translation or interpretation of something. So you see, it's quite a formal verb, but it is used. Okay. And now we got number 4. Yes, so also for images and etc. Number 4, the expression underway means beginning to happen, forming an obstacle, being reversed or being delayed. Yeah. If something is underway, it's happening. Okay. Halting process. Smooth and fast, interrupted and uneven, constant and predictable, simple and efficient. Yeah. Something halting, you stop and then you go on again, and then you stop and then you go. That's halting. So it's uneven and interrupted. While smooth means no interruptions whatsoever. Also, yes, uneven means, okay, you have something, okay, even, remember, is 2, 4, 6, and etc. Okay, 2, 4, 6, and even is, for example, a surface which is even, is nice, smooth, no sort of obstacles, something even. Okay. Uneven is the opposite, with obstacles. Okay, and so that's the, so I put it with, okay. If a surface is uneven, it's a bit bumpy. And even can mean also, and what about, oh, wait, 1, 3, 5, 7, very good, they're odd. So these are odd numbers and these ones are even numbers. So even in Italian, if something is pari, is smooth and no obstacles. Okay, now we have a little bit of grammar, multiple choice, and we have to find the correct answer or answers. So maybe, let me see, we might have, I think, yes, maybe there might be 1 or 2 where you can have more than one correct answer. So, had the printing press not been introduced by Caxton, English spelling, blah, 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 far less standardized. Okay. Oh, wow. So let's have a look. Okay, everybody, most of you, I think it's A. And it is A. Because remember that this one is an if. So if the print, if Caxton had not introduced the printing press, English spelling might have remained far less standardized. This is the idea. Definitely not would remain, because B is wrong. Definitely, because if the printing press had not been introduced, English spelling would have remained. Okay, so B is wrong. Must have remained is the silly one and no one. And again, even remained is wrong because it doesn't link to the first sentence. If Caxton had not introduced the printing press, English would have remained or might have remained. You need to link to, I'll do it for you. So let's do it. If William, had not introduced the printing press. I got a plaster on my finger. And okay, you see, now if had not introduced the printing press, English spelling you see, the only one would have remained, might have remained. If you translate it into Italian, se Caxton non avesse introdotto la pressa da stampa, lo spelling in inglese sarebbe rimasto, potrebbe essere rimasto, and so, but definitely not the remained. Okay? Let's have a look at number 2. Number 2 describes and typesetters adopted the spelling system, blah, 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 they were familiar with. Yes. Definitely did. Because it's with which they were familiar, so they were familiar with. If we have 5 minutes towards the end of the lesson, I have prepared something. Let me see. Yes, I have prepared a summary of the preposition of the end of clauses. If you want, we can do it. I'll open it so I remember. Okay. So let me get my stuff. So, is it wrong if I don't use, let me have a look. Describe and types I adopted the spelling system. You can, yeah, they were familiar with. Yes, perfectly correct. You can skip everything and just use the spelling system they were familiar with. Yeah. Number 3. Number 3, the spelling of many words was fixed, even though pronunciation, blah, 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 changing. Yes. This is the only one, because the spelling was fixed, so I need something in the past, so it was still changing. Number 4, Caxton's choices, blah, blah, practical, saying there were no spelling rules at the time. Yeah, definitely were. So, nice, Caxton choices were practical because there were no spelling rules. You could also use this one. You could in Italian and in English, sarebbero state, because you guess. Since there were no spelling rules at the time, they would have been practical, or they were practical. The meaning is the same. One sarebbero state pratiche or erano pratiche. One is more certain than the other, but grammatically they're both correct. And number 5, I think, is the last one. More than 80 different spellings of Shakespeare's name, blah, blah, throughout history. Yes, have been recorded. Yes. Have been recorded. Remember that it's throughout history, so it's before. No, because, okay, if you stop here, before throughout history, you're right. You can say we're on record. Yeah, fine, we're recorded. But here you carry on, and so you give the impression of something which happened in the past and carries on until now. And so you don't use the past. Okay. Being recorded. Being recorded. Being registered somewhere, recorded. And so the only one you can use is this one, because being recorded is now, this moment, while this one is the only one which reflects the idea of something. Something I wanted, I'm going to send you this note, because it's quite interesting. Remember that a few common words resisted the change. If you have a look, head, bread, swear, and bear, they kept the old sound. I told you in before Christmas, you remember while we were talking about I told you about Ireland and Scotland. Ireland was less affected by the great vowel shift because I have no idea why, but the effect was less, and this is the reason why, you see, Yeats, Irish poet and dramatist, doesn't rhyme with Keats, English poet. So you see, in English, this one, the pronunciation is E, while here, stayed like this. And other Irish names keep the same sound. For example, Shane Reagan. Do you remember Reagan, the president? His name was Reagan, because, of course, it's an Irish surname, and that's the way it's pronounced. There are exceptions like great and break. So the great vowel shift is still continuing today in some regional dialects. So in some dialects, you can hear this difference in pronunciation of vowels. And so this is quite interesting. I'll send it to you. So let me see if I told you everything. I told you about render. I told you, well, you know, typesetters are people or machines. They prepare books for printing. And then I told you about everything. Oh, yes, there was something. The language was locked. So what's lock? Yes, if you lock, it's when you close something, exactly, freeze, very good. A lock is a device that keeps something, for example, a door, a window, something completely shut. Okay. you can use a padlock. A padlock are those things you put around two hooks, and then you can close it on lucchetto. But a lock is also, in England there are a lot of canals, and you can use narrow boats to move around. But of course, you need locks between one bit of the canal and the other to go up or to go down. Le chiuse, very good. Those are called locks. So you see, that's other meanings of lock. For example, you have lock, stock, and barrel. Lock, stock, and barrel means including absolutely everything. Completely. I think a lock, stock, and barrel, it comes from, they're part of a rifle, parte di un fucile, the lock, the stock, and the barrel. And if you put them together, of course, you have the whole thing. And I think in Italian you can translate it into armi e bagagli. And you can lock the stables after you, for example, the stable. There is the same in Italian. After the horse has bolted, after the horse has bolted, when it's too late, the harm has already happened, and so you start taking precautions when it's too late. Okay. And so I think I told you everything about this. Okay. Do you want to have a quick look at the preposition at the end of? Because it's very common in English. Is it all right if, do you think it's a good idea, do you want to revise this bit? Preposition at the end of clauses. Okay, so remember, preposition connects two things, okay? Noun, adjective, or verb before it. This is a present for you, or is looking at her. So you see, there are link, okay? Or I'm angry with Joey. They live in the city, so a prepositional object. Sometimes the object of the preposition comes near the start of the clause, okay? Very often, remember, in questions or relative clauses. When it happens, the preposition often stays behind together with the verb, adjective or noun it belongs to, you see. The general pattern usually, a preposition that express relationships, directions, dependence, for example, at, for, in, on, to, with, and about, usually 99% of the time, they can be moved to the end in informal or even neutral English, okay? When all this can happen, let's see, with questions. Question using the WH words, okay? For example, who's the present for? This is normal English. You could say for whom, is the present, but it becomes extremely formal. Remember, you can always, and remember one thing, when you put the preposition before who needs to be in is form with the M. Okay, you might find it without, but remember, it's still considered a mistake. So, for example, if you decide to take the first certificate, the advanced, or the proficiency, sometimes they ask you to change some sentences, and you might be asked to use this form for whom, or with whom, or by whom. Don't forget the M because it's a mistake, okay? It's extremely formal. You might find it in some speeches, in old books, definitely. Normal modern English, they tend to use who's the present for. Who did you go out with? Instead of with whom. What are you looking at? You could say at what? Where did she buy it from? From where? What kind of films are you interested in? You see, you could use the preposition, but remember that is modern English. This is the form which is people go for. Formal equivalents with the preposition before the question word are possible, but sound very formal. For whom is the present? With whom did you go? Well, you sound very old, basically. Indirect WH questions and what clauses. Tell me what you are worried about. About what you are worried. What a lot of trouble I'm in what you could. You can have very short questions. What with? Who for? Remember, you cannot say what money with is impossible. This is a mistake. You must say with what money did you pay the milkman? Okay, because this is doesn't mean absolutely anything. Relative clause. When a relative pronoun, that, who, which, and etc., is the object of a preposition, the preposition usually goes at the end, especially in informal style. Joe is the person that I'm angry with. That can be omitted. That's what I'm afraid of. This is the house I told you about. You could say about which I was telling you, and of course you don't repeat about, but this is the more natural way modern way to say it. She's the one I've ever been in love with. Okay, you could say with whom, but again, you sound extremely old and formal. Formal version, the person with whom I'm angry, and the house about which I told you. Again, if you asked, but if possible, go for the preposition at the end. Passive is interesting. In passive sentences, the preposition stays with its verb because it's important. Because remember, you want to emphasize the fact that it's a passive. So she likes to be looked at. The preposition and the verb are linked together. His bed hasn't been slept in. Kate was operated on. You see, always in passive, the rule is put the preposition immediately after the verb. Infinitives. The village is pleasant to live in. Again, you see, you have the verb and its preposition because it's an infinitive, and so otherwise I don't know what to put in. The village is in the village. No, you can't. The village in. So the only place you can put it is together with its infinitive. Remember, there are some exceptions. Prepositions that express time limit, origin, or duration, like this preposition here: since, during, until, before, after, within, because they're long, okay? Normally stay before the question. During which period? You wouldn't say which period did it happen during. You can see it yourself. It's odd. Okay, so when you use this preposition, which are slightly longer, let's give them, and they give you the time limits, the origin or duration, just put them at the beginning. Okay, since when have you been working for her? Okay, you can't say when have you been working for her since. It doesn't make any sense. Formal style. Remember, in formal style, prepositions are often placed before the relative or question word. With whom, about which. After preposition, remember, use whom or which, not who or that. You might find it, but remember, is still considered a mistake. Special note. Okay, even in formal English, when you use the verb to be, it's not very common to find the preposition. So, who is it for, madam? Not for whom is it? Because maybe because it's too short. Where shall I send it to? Not to where shall I send it? What does she look like? Again, probably because the verb likes this preposition. What did you buy that for? Tell me the reason why. Okay, and I already told you about the passive. Okay, in my family, money was never spoken about. So the rule about the passive, and this is a summary. Okay, for you. I hope it's more or less clear. Remember, the only thing when you use the preposition before whom, you need whom. Otherwise, in the modern English, for example, okay, you could say the person with whom I'm angry, but the best thing is just the person I'm angry with. Okay, put the preposition at the end. And the most common preposition to put at the end, and is always correct, is at, for, in, on, to, with, and about. Okay, these are the most common. Okay, and that's done. And now I think we still have a few minutes, if you want, to do a little bit of BBC, if you feel like doing it, and then you can finish it off at home. Okay, I'm opening it up.
BBC News.
Okay, and BBC News, this for the students. Right. Okay. Right, so BBC. Okay, the first one, you just have to listen to the news, fill in the gaps, and then answer the question. Unfortunately, the news is it's always so miserable. I was half thinking of trying to find something else to instead of the news, but let's hope 2026 might improve. I hope. So first, listen. Then we have to answer the questions. We have a little bit of vocabulary mixed with grammar. I always try how to use discuss. Why not? And then a little bit of pronunciation. Let's see what happens. So first, put your feet up and listen. The first one.
With Moira Alderson. The White House has confirmed that President Trump and his team have been discussing a range of options to acquire Greenland, including the use of military force. Earlier, Greenland's Prime Minister welcomed a joint statement by European leaders promising to defend the universal principle of the island's territorial integrity.
Okay, she's not too difficult. How do you find Moira? She's very intense. I find her extremely intense, but I suppose she's a newsreader. Yeah, she's quite easy. She's fast. Remember, when you download, okay, this for the students who don't know, when you download from my Dropbox, remember that you can always slow it down. So you click on riproduzione, you go in velocità, and you go più lento, o più veloce if you want, or even più lento. And you can slow it down to 90%, 80%. I'll go back to normal here. Okay. I'm going back and you tell me.
ABC News with Moira Alderson. The White House has confirmed that President Trump...
Very good. Okay, for example, if you can't understand that, you know that the White House has confirmed ... Not, you wouldn't be able to say the President Trump because you don't need the article before President Trump. So the only thing you can put here is that. Okay, so help. Remember that if you use the grammar which is inside you, it can help you to understand a lot. Okay.
Has confirmed that President Trump and his team have been...
Very good. Yes, and his team
President Trump and his team have been discussing a range of options to acquire Greenland.
Very good. How nice to I like the quiet agreement. To acquire agreement, I did it on purpose because very often name of countries, name of people can be difficult to understand. Listen to it again.
Discussing a range of options to acquire Greenland.
Yes, it's to acquire Greenland. Remember, the stress is on green. Okay, Greenland is not Greenland, it's Greenland. Okay, and to acquire an agreement, but then would you acquire an agreement? So is to acquire Greenland.
of options to acquire Greenland, including the use of military force.
Yes. Military force.
Force. Earlier, Greenland's Prime Minister welcomed a joint statement by European leaders.
Welcomed. Very good. Okay. Remember, usually the first time you mention something, you use the indefinite article. I saw a man. The man was walking down the road. So this is the first time she mentions it, so should be a joint statement, because welcomed, the first time I mention it, becomes a joint statement. Then later on, if the joint statement I was talking about, then you can use the definite article. Okay.
A joint statement by European leaders promising to defend the universal.
Okay, defense is a noun. Defend is the verb, so must promising to do what? To defend. You promise the defense of something or to defend something.
Defend the universal principle of the island's territorial integrity.
Very good, Teresa. Yes, and Mari and everybody. So, territorial integrity. Very good. Now, some true and false. The White House acknowledged internal talks about several possible approaches regarding Greenland. Is it true or false? It is true. And military action was officially ruled out by US officials. Yeah, it is false, because they were including the use of military force. So it's included, it's not, because rule out means you exclude. True or false? European leaders issued a statement supporting Greenland's sovereignty. Yes, to defend and etc., etc. So yes, definitely. Okay, let's have a look at this vocabulary quiz. Discuss, which is the most nearly means. Argue angrily, consider and exchange ideas, announce publicly, or have or express a different opinion. Yeah. Remember that you don't need to be angry if you want to discuss something, okay? And now let's have a look. Discuss. My statement is discuss is a transitive verb and doesn't need to be followed by about. You can discuss something, or if you really want, you use a noun and you have a discussion about something. Is it true or false? It is true. So remember, don't say I discuss about something, because it's wrong. Because discuss, okay, discuss equal to talk about. So if you say discuss, it's like saying about twice. You know what I mean? So it's like repeating about. So it's already included in discuss, okay? And so don't use it. But you can have a discussion about a subject or something. And then we have integrity. Integrity without flaws or breaks. Honesty and wholeness. Military strength. The state of being whole and not divided. Definitely. Integrity. And so if B is correct, also C is correct. Yeah, because they are more or less, in one is in the honesty is contemplated, but also integrity is also, well, it hasn't been divided, so it's still whole, integral, you would say in Italian. Range of options. Superfluous options, a variety of possibilities, a random idea, a choice between undesirable alternatives. Yes. Why C? Range of option. I saw a C, but it's just, no, it is not a random. Range of options can't be just a random. Random ideas, yes, plural, but not a random idea. It's just one, because here we have a range. Okay, so I would say this one, B. Pronunciation. So, true, false. This word, TEAM, which is a group working together, and TEEM, to be full of, swarming with, crowded with, are homophones. Is it true or false? Shall I read it for you? Team and team. So it's true. A team is a group of people, but and team is a verb. Teeming means full of something, swarming with something, okay? And they're pronounced exactly the same. This final ID, how would you pronounce it? It, t, d, or ed? Yes. Very good. Is welcomed with a d ending. And true, false. The S is silent in this one, but not in this one. Very good, is false. Because island, isle, and isle. So this one and this one are the same. Island, well, if you think about it, this first bit, isle, isle, isle. This one is just got land. You know, aisle is a sort of corridor in between, even in a supermarket. It's a passageway. Corsia, thank you. Even on a plane. Yes, on a plane, in supermarket, sort of passageway, corsie, sì, anche al supermercato. There's sort of, yeah, corridoio. So this one is false. And the letter E in the middle, the second E, and the G in this word, so, are silent, creating a pronunciation closer to sovereignty. Very good. It is true. Yes, the Nicene sovereignty is otherwise it's too difficult to pronounce. It's impossible. Your tongue gets twisted in your mouth. Okay. And so we had the grammar quiz. Grammar quiz: talks are believed being ongoing, to be ongoing, to have ongoing, will be ongoing. Yes. And a statement was welcomed. Yes, by. Because it's a passive. So was welcomed by, but I received a letter from Bob. Okay. We got 2 minutes to do this, the beginning of this one. Listen to the news and then you correct the mistakes. Okay, where is she?
Ireland's territorial integrity. President Macron of France and President Zelensky of Ukraine have said it's been agreed that any ceasefire in Ukraine would be monitored by a multinational force. They were speaking after a multinational meeting in Paris.
Okay, going back.
And the universal principle of the island's territorial integrity. President Macron of France and President...
Very good. So let's get rid of this one. Of France and President Zelensky. Yeah, should we put the other off here? Of.
President Macron of France and President Zelensky of Ukraine have said it's been agreed.
Yeah, very good. So this one is said. And so this one is wrong. It's been, did you hear? Very good.
Zelensky of Ukraine have said it's been agreed that any ceasefire in Ukraine would be monitored by...
They said, so direct speech, they said, column, inverted commas, any ceasefire in Ukraine will be monitored. In reported speech, they said that any ceasefire in Ukraine would be. Because it's a reported speech. Listen to her.
Have said it's been agreed that any ceasefire in Ukraine would be monitored by a multinational force.
Okay, so is force. Okay, well, multinational force and...
Speaking after a multinational meeting in Paris.
So after a, very good, so multi here, and not with Boris, but in Paris. Good, good, good. Right. Well, I'll leave you all this for you to do. One thing, remember that I'll send you the key for self-correction. If there is something, wait, okay. If there is something you can't understand, write to me. And I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I'll see you Well, same place, same time next Thursday.
We know. Thank you
very much.
Juliana.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you very much, Juliana.
Ciao.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you.
Good dear.
Good night.
Bye. Grazie. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.